Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor. Today we're bringing you a battle report from the bridge of Tier 9 Japanese cruiser, Ibuki. Now, as I've been regrinding the Japanese cruiser line, I have finally managed to get all the way to the top here as we start our grind in Tier 9's Ibuki. Now, this is not my first game in Ibuki. I have to think back on it. I feel like my first game in Ibuki was a win. I think I got that on stream. I think I got that done then. But so this is just a game that I'm playing on my own as the regular part of just trying to grind out some XP. What I have been doing, if you've been watching me work on these ships, I just stack up. This is the type, I think this is the type 59 camo that's 200% XP, and then I load up the flags for the maximum bonus. And I happen to be recording this and playing this game during that week in January where we all had 200% first win bonuses as well. So some of these XP totals I got during this ride grind made it super easy. Spawning here on the south side of Two Brothers, everybody's favorite map. We're top tier, which is a nice change of pace for being tier 9 ship in a random battle, as we kind of angle out here towards the 9-10 line. Now, Two Brothers is one of those maps where it's very, very common that everybody just runs for the map border while the destroyers fight over the cap circles. Like, that tends to be how things start off with the initial deployment. And this game right now, so far as it's shaping up, is really no different. We have a friendly Friesland here, just about to step onto the bottom end of B. On the other side of the map, they had a Friesland that looked like he was cutting into the center. Obviously, one of their other destroyers is already in the A cap, as our Chungmu, Benham, and Amalfi are kind of headed in that general direction, trying to do something. But with our carrier planes having been knocked out of the sky, we don't have a lot of vision. Our Friesland over here is doing something that I just absolutely despise seeing, and that is he's smoking right away. Apparently he was spotted because he's not ticking up cap points, and Friesland's detection is about 6.2 or so, so it kind of makes sense that he was probably spotted there for a bit. But in the meantime, at least he's holding back the caps points, and we know if he's got brains, he's got his hydro up, so hopefully he won't get torpedoed in smoke. Now, I swapped to the AP here for a salvo on the Venezia, but I get it. I fire more than one salvo with this Venezia over the course of the battle, and what I learned very quickly is I'm kind of wasting my time with the AP. He's got a little bit of an angle there. He's firing what looks to be regular AP back at me. He's not going to get a whole lot out of it there. Probably looks like just the one overpen as I go back with the HE. And, I mean, again, I'm not getting great damage, but I got more than I got out of the AP salvo, right? So, I decided I'm just going to stick with the HE for a bit. I think at some point later I do take another pot shot with the AP, but I just never really get results out of it. He gets a pretty solid hit there. I don't know if that's AP or SAP. Probably AP, because the SAP probably would have hit a lot harder. He's about to kind of ground himself. He's going to have to navigate a little better there, as he's got lots of different people shooting at him. We do finally lose vision. We get a fire on him, but I suspect he'll put that out. Yep, he put that out almost instantaneously. In the meantime, the friendly Albemarle has kind of moved up here, crossing astern of me, and we have a Musashi and a Bismarck in the general vicinity of the cap circle as an Atago appears. Hello, Atago. And we're going to send him a taste of some of his own medicine, giving him a salvo of the Japanese 203mm HE shells. Solid hit there. He's like me, he's already lined up to kite out. No interest in pushing up quickly. No real incentive to, let's be honest. Now, our Musashi, to his credit, has figured out there's not really a whole lot going on over here. Like, most of the enemy team is at the other cap, right? We have a Musashi and Albemarle, me, this Bismarck, and the Friesland, whereas they basically have a North Carolina, Venezia, Atago, and whatever destroyer is camped out in the D cap and holding it down. So we outnumber them probably at least 2 ships. I'm kind of just chasing this Atago away. I'm not worried about his torpedoes. He doesn't have the range to hit me. Even if he fired those, the instant I was spotted earlier, I was over 10 clicks away, they'll run out astern of me. On the other side of the map, though, things are not so rosy for the team. You see the Amalfi, the Chungmu, the Benham, a Massachusetts, and, as is often the case early in a game with a Georgia screaming up the one line all by himself. I'm sure he'll be dead momentarily just because, well, he shouldn't be over there. But in the meantime, the other side of things is outnumbered, but they're holding the cap down. Both destroyers playing around in the cap. They do only have the one radar, the Alaska over there. Actually, there's a Chapayev as well. They have 2 radars, I suppose. But that Chappie is way back on the sea line. Should not be in radar range. The Alaska looks like from where he is, he probably is able to radar both destroyers in that cap anytime he wants. But as I've finally discerned, like, there's nobody else over here that's a real threat. So we see the Deepwater Torps there. That tells me it's probably the Chung Mu over here. As the Venezia is doing loops, the North Carolina is trying to bow tank the Musashi, who was, of course, broadsiding in front of him, eating citadels for days. And you can see there it is a survivability expert Musashi. So that's usually a good indicator of the quality of the battleship captain you're dealing with. As this Venezia is continuing to just do what he does, the Otago running north. So we're trying to pick up this cap, and we are going to eventually succeed, no thanks to the Musashi. There's the Chung Mu. We do catch a glimpse of him there as he's running in close quarters with the Venezia. I realize I have to be leading this Venezia a little more than I have been. Then again, just about the time I figure that out, he pulls the handbrake, and I get nothing out of that salvo. So we go ahead and swap back to the HE, wait for my detection to drop as we cut back towards the center here. We have managed to finally polish off the North Carolina, although we lost a ton of health off our Musashi to do it, as we are now going to be able to push the Venezia, the Chung Mu, and the Otago back off of the decap a bit. To the other side, we do have a 1-ship lead because of the death of the North Carolina, and we actually have a health lead if you believe the health bars up at the top of the screen. So at the moment, this game looks pretty good as we get, 6.5 minutes in here. Venezia takes a huge slap there, probably from the Bismarck. I don't believe the Musashi would have had shots on him. He's trying to turn to starboard here to get back behind the cover of this island to the north. I've got some salvos on him. I get 3K through the superstructure there, get a fire lit, and well, he's going to be going out. And there he goes. But not before he wipes out our Friesland, which turns out to be a very decisive moment in this game, because now we don't have any way to effectively spot this Chung Mu, because if you'll notice, my carrier, have you seen planes on this side of the map? Nope, you sure haven't. So, we're going to be kind of on our own against this Chung Mu for a while. There he is, spotted by some rocket planes. The carriers now, I kind of realize he should make this attempt at least. And we do get a couple of shots at him, but the short version is that this doesn't last very long. Chung Mu smokes. Bismarck continuing to push. Musashi looks like he spent some time in the cap recovering his health, as I am starting to go on this Otago. They've tied us on kills now, and have a notable health lead, which is upsetting, but it is what it is. As more of the enemy team spotted there, the health bars will correct themselves. We're now capping A and B because we had a Zhao drive up the center, and he's swanning around in the B cap behind the enemy team. Now, sometimes this is a good idea. Like, if I was in an Italian cruiser, let's say, that might be kind of fun, because I could steam through that cap, put my smoke up, and probably steam through that cap completely, and then turn to starboard and be out of it before the enemy team could even really do anything about it. As it is, the Zhao is just sitting there with a bunch of battleships in his face, and a carrier bombing him, and it's not going to go all that well. As we have managed to lose yet another ship. Yep, the Georgia is dead. Shocking. No, not really shocking. Still trying to keep shots on this Otago. Now, at the moment, I'm intentionally pushing this Chung Mu. I know his smoke doesn't last all that long, about 70 seconds or so. And I'm assuming that as I keep pushing, I'll be able to finally get him lit. But this Chung Mu player, to his credit, is pretty crafty. He knows what I'm attempting. He's already pushed out of his smoke, and I simply haven't realized it yet. We do have some planes coming back north. That should help a little bit. I'm also trying to be a little cagey, right? Because I know the Chung Mu's up here. I know he has deepwater torpedoes, but I don't know where he is. And I don't know where those torpedoes are, and I also know that I'm not going to have a lot of time to react to them when the time finally comes. There he is. He's spotted briefly about 6.5 clicks out in front of me, well outside his detection radius, unless I can get some other means to spot him. Enemy Implacable taking a run at me with his torpedoes. My AA does a little bit of chip damage, but he had already basically misled that drop, and he's not going to get anything there. But our team on the other side of the map has now basically completely folded as we approach the halfway mark of the match. We're now 100,000 damage upside down. We're 2 ships down, and Yeah, it's pretty much all falling apart at this stage. Oh, there we go. We're 3 ships down once again. Almost 200-point deficit here as I realize that continuing to push in this direction is basically committing suicide. Look at my board position. I am essentially hung out to dry out here. It's just me. The Musashi, the Bismarck have kind of stuck closer into the island, which is not a terrible play, honestly. But it means that I'm out here all by myself. The Albemarle is far too far astern of me to be useful or even any kind of support. So I decide, no, it's time to get out of here. And I start running due east just to get out of here. Now, that shot there that I took on the Izumo was a mistake. Because with the planes gone, no one would have been able to spot me. But I fired, so now everybody gets a little bit longer window to shoot at me, including the Atago, who has figured out my predicament and has turned around to keep pressure on me. We've managed to lose yet another ship, as even the Alaska and the Jean Bart are both firing at me. At this point, I'm at 40,000 damage, we have 9 minutes to play, and I'm like, well, this game is over. So I immediately decide, you know what, it's time to go into damage farming mode. I know that I can pin the bejesus out of this Alsace with my HE all day long. Let's just do that. Let's just farm damage and try to salvage a little bit of XP out of what is bound to be a disastrous train wreck of a loss. So, that's exactly what the next few minutes are going to look like. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to lob shells at the Alsace, the Atago's going to lob shells back at me. You know, the Bismarck's going to do his thing. You can see we have a lone Amalfi and our carrier trying to defend the sea cap. Now, to their credit, they're actually doing a pretty decent job. The carrier, of course, going for the North Carolina, and the Friesland, the Amalfi just, you know, doing what he can. But the North Carolina, similar to how my board position a minute ago, he's very, very alone. So, we'll have to see how this goes. Right now, I really want to get more fires lit on this Alsace. I want to get him off the board. He's got a Bismarck in his face. He's a little vulnerable. The Albemarle looks like he ran aground or something. He was getting hammered last I checked. He's down to 3k now. As we're continuing to drop salvos in on this Alsace. Bismarck's secondary is also working him over now as well. But with a 4-ship disadvantage, this is going to be almost impossible to get back into. The Alsace has got the Albemarle spotted, and, yep. Yeah. So, 5-ship deficit now. Yeah. But the good news is we are finally making inroads on this Alsace, down under 6k now, and falling. The Implacable bags in North Carolina, but it's not worth a whole lot. Chappie bags the Bismarck, as I do manage to finally polish off the Jean Bart. 7 minutes to play. We have a 4-ship deficit, about 100,000 HP, and more importantly, well over 200, almost 300 points to make up here. And it's just me, the Amalfi, and the Implacable. So, yeah, this feels pretty bloody awful. The enemy Implacable, wasting no time to press his advantage, knows I'm kind of out here by myself. I decide it's time to put up some aerial defense here, pop the defensive fire and the spotter plane. I'm sorry, the catapult fighter. Try to kill as many of these planes as I can. I'm also kind of swanning a bit into the friendly Implacable's AA bubble, so I'm going to get a little bit of help from him, and the enemy Implacable's only going to get the one pass off with those rockets, as he's basically going to lose most of those planes. Alaska takes a pot shot at me, comes up dry. Atago cutting back in as the Amalfi, bags the Friesland. Now that feels pretty good. All right, so now it's only about a 200-point gap. We're still 3 ships down. Still 100,000 HP upside down, but hey, every little bit of progress is noteworthy. It's progress. Now, what I know I'm looking at on this flank is somewhere an Atago, and somewhere there's the Izumo. And, there's the Chapayev. So, I'm left with a bit of a dilemma. I'm kind of a target-rich environment here, and I start off convincing myself that I'm going to farm this battleship. But then I have a look at this Chapayev. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's at half health. My HE shells will do nasty things to him. That's who I need to be focusing on. I need to be shooting at the Chappie and get him off the board. I do bag of fire on the Zumo, but he puts it out fairly quickly, if memory serves. Yeah, it gets a couple of ticks, and he puts that out as... Oh, what's this? Oh, hello. Our blind torpedoes that I launched out there thinking I might get the Itago to stumble into them have instead bagged the Chungmu. Now, it's only a 2-ship deficit. Things are improving as we take one last pot shot at the Itago before we lose him behind island cover and have to get back on the Chappie. Now, I switched to the Itago there just simply because he was closer. The Amalfi was trying to cap A, couldn't quite manage it because Alaska. Yep. So now, the Chappie and I start what amounts to a long-range HE duel. He, of course, spams more shells downrange than I do. Mine, of course, hit much harder than his do. The Itago is trying to get into this fight, trying to be relevant, but right now, he's completely behind an island. He can't hit me at all. I do take the one torpedo launcher I have on that side of the ship currently, and I dump it in that general direction in case he gets, frisky and decides he wants to try and come through that gap. A double fire on the Chappie there feels pretty good. He had extinguished one earlier, so I know that one's going to burn for a bit. For the moment, I've got to stay on this Chappie. I've got him. I won't say I've got him. Well, I guess I do have kind of low at this point. He's about 8K. As long as, what he really should do, this is his mistake. What he should have done is he should quit shooting. There's no need for him to give up his ship, but as long as he keeps firing at me, it's exactly what's about to happen. I take another pot shot at the Itago because he's more in kind of a danger close situation here. He's a much bigger threat where he is. I'm going to get a really solid hit out of the HE there. Check that out, 7K. Full pens all, as he comes back with AP and doesn't make out quite as well. The Implacable goes back with bombs, I think. It was bombs or rockets, I missed it, and takes care of the Chappie. Back to only 2 ships down. And it is just me and the Implacable at this point. I mean, this is like heroic defense here. The Itago backs off. The Izumo is not shooting. I can't see him at the moment. So we take stock of the board again. You see the Alaska coming down the gap. So I decide, all right, well, we're running out of time. We're less than 3 minutes. We're upside down, 120 points, 110 points. Let's see if we can get some torpedoes in on this Alaska. I turn back to the north to bring my port torpedo launchers to bear, because at the time they were the only ones that were reloaded, but my starboard ones have finally reloaded. And what I'm banking on is that this Implacable will continue to spot this Alaska. I can't afford to misfire these torpedoes and miss. If the Alaska gets past me, he'll be in the face of the carrier. He'll wipe out the carrier in a couple of salvos, and then I'm next on the menu. I take one blind shot based on his last known position, and then this one I lock onto the Alaska and lead more or less correctly because the planes were able to spot him for me. He doesn't yet know that I'm here. He has no idea where I am. I'm not spotted at the moment. I'm about to give him some of that information because as I depart here, and he's busy trying to look for the Implacable, take an HE salvo and put it into his face for a good solid hit and a fire here on my way out the door. But now I have an Izumo in my face. Now, something you may have noticed, if you've been paying attention to this game, this Izumo has not fired AP once, all game long. So, as I begin this engagement with the Izumo, what I am basically banking on is that he's going to keep firing HE at me. We see there the torpedo salvo on the Alaska worked. Hey, we're now only 40 points behind with 90 seconds to play. All right, here we go. I have to kill the Izumo. We need the Implacable to not die. And if you look at the minimap, like, that's not a given thing. These carriers are now in a secondary duel, and I have no idea where the Itago is. He's the wild card in this whole thing. My buddy the Itago from all the way at the beginning of the match. But you can see here with this, the Izumo firing HE at me, I can almost just be a complete... I can just almost ignore him. My port torpedoes come back up. We get one downrange right as he starts turning into me. Feels terrible. And, okay, fine. So I shallow up the other one. But he continues the turn. This baffles me a little bit because he's firing HE at me. Why wouldn't you want all of your barrels? I confess, like, I'm used to seeing questionable battleship play, but this really takes the cake. Like, and then what ultimately sinks us in the end here, 35 seconds to play, is the Itago bags our carrier. At this point, even if I kill this Izumo, it will not be enough for us to win the game. So killing him at this stage is nothing more than a moral victory. But I'm sure as heck going to try here. As I come back to port, I know I've got literally seconds to get these torpedoes around downrange, and he hits me with HE and disables my torpedo launcher. I repair it because screw it. 6 seconds to play, torpedoes in the water, guns are reloaded, come on, get them on target, pull the trigger, but time ticks away, and after 180,000 damage, unfortunately, we simply can't pull this one out. And man, losses like this are frustrating, right? You look at the XP totals, you look at the end result of all of this, and it's like, man, what is it? Why am I the only dude that showed up to play this game, right? Like, what is the deal? Look at this, a Confederate, a High Caliber, a Dreadnought. I mean, come on. And yet, here we are. So, yeah, feels bad. But a good game, I think, that showcases what you can achieve in Ibuki if you simply put your mind to it, don't make too many dumb mistakes and get blapped off the board, and continue to put shells down range, flex your heal, flex your stealth, which is the key. Don't always be detected, and stay in the game. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.